Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Atlanta Falcons UK podcast. And once again, another victory Monday after last night's game, the 1 point game against the Green Bay Packers. Joined with me tonight are my usual co-hosts. Cal was planning on being here, but he's having some technical difficulties. And we are also thrilled, as we announced on Twitter today, we are going to be joined by the legendary Falcons Fandom podcaster, Aaron Freeman, who's going to join us just to talk a little bit about our win last night. So, shall we bring him in, Danny?
Let's do it. To the stage. Hello, Aaron. Guys? Thank you for joining us.
Some fanfare music there when you joined.
For next time, I'll beatbox.
So first of all, Falcons are 2-0. Welcome to the podcast. How's Atlanta feeling right now?
It's feeling good, right? You know, crowd's been jumping these two home games. I think this is the start that you wanted to see the Falcons get off to. They had two very winnable home games. You know, it wasn't, I guess, the prettiest wins that you would get. You know, if you could script it up, you would probably have them winning both games like 42-10 or something like that. But they managed to pull it off. They played well at the very end of both games, finishing strong. And I think that's really the kind of the big takeaway from these first two games, and including the Packers win, is it's been so long since the Falcons seem like a team that can finish games strong, right? Like their reputation entirely is based off of their inability to finish games, right? You still get that grief from time to time about how certain games in the past have gone for them. And, you know, I think you heard Arthur Smith talk about it. You heard Desmond Ridder talk about it. Is like, you know, he was asked a question at his post-game presser about, like, you know, did you feel like you were down for the count when you were down 12 points going into the fourth quarter? And he was like, never down for the count. You heard Bijan Robinson talking about it, or Bijan Robinson, sorry for mispronouncing his name. You know, talking about week one at halftime when they were sort of down and sort of talking about how there was no panic. And so, like, this team, you know, talks a big game about being resilient, and that they've been backing it up. So they've been definitely walking the walk there with that. And that's something that we haven't been able to talk about with this Falcon team for many years. And so hopefully once we just get the first three quarters sorted, like, you know, this team is going to be off to the races.
That doesn't sound that big of a task, does it? Just 3 of the 4 quarters, no problem there. We're fine.
Okay, so I think what we usually do, just kind of go through the main talking points of the game. And I think one of the kind of talking points I want to kick us off with, and because it's been the most controversial on our socials today, has been the Mac Hollins touchdown that never was. Now, I've seen so many arguments about this today, and I can't decide which side to be on. At the time, I was obviously furious and getting ready to flying headbutt the TV, because I don't understand how a two-toe tip, whatever, you know what I mean? How that works from a receiving point of view if you're going forward, but it can't work if you're going backwards. So is this just us and our ignorant football knowledge thinking it should have been and it actually wasn't, or was it a controversial decision?
I mean, I think it was a touchdown, right? You know, but I've gotten to the point now with the officiating where it's just like, we know it's bad. It's always going to be bad. It's been bad for like, you know, what was it 2012 when they had the replacement refs? It just feels like it's been bad for a decade, you know. And it just, at this point, it's like, okay, they blew that call. They're gonna blow a call, you know. I was talking with someone earlier. They brought up the Grady Jarrett roughing the passer from last year. It's just like, it just feels like you're going to get some of these calls that go for you. You're going to get some of these calls that go against you. So it didn't really bother me in the moment, just because like I kind of just go into it and like, okay, like I guess this is this is what they decided, whatever. So it I'm sure it'll probably cause some debate, and maybe they'll have to review.
Oh, it has. It's caused lots of debate.
But like, I think the NFL, I guess my expectations are just so low that they always like, when it comes to this stuff and it's like, we're going to change this rule. And it's like, no, they're not going to change the rule. And someone else is, 5 weeks from now, there's going to be the similar predicament. They're going to call it a completely different way. It's just, it is what it is at this point. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Fair. Boys, anything you want to jump in on that?
Well, yeah, if anyone's watching live and actually has the rule book in front of them by any chance, I'd love to know why facing infield but landing on your toes is different to facing the crowd and landing on your toes, because that seems to be the technical difference. If your heels are facing away, as in outwards towards the pitch, then no touchdown. But if they're in the pitch and you're facing out, then it's fine.
When they're going forward, as long as they get 2 toe tips down, and they're usually flying through the air at that point, so they're gonna end up with a face full of turf. But that still counts as a touchdown. But Holland's landing on his tiptoe, actually physically landing on them before he put his heels down, because he had that awareness. I don't know. I just genuinely, I've spent all day going, I don't want to get into these arguments because I'm actually not sure if I'm right or not. So I should probably just keep my mouth shut. But like I say, I was furious at the time, but I was interested to start the show off with this because it has really caused some debate on our socials, and certainly caused my phone to go bananas with notifications. So, cool. Liam, anything to add on that?
For me, it's not so much the call itself, it's the overturning of the on-field call. It's the whole point of that is to, if it's a clear and obvious mistake on the field, then you overturn it. So, if that had been called, no touchdown on the field, I'd have sort of expected it to remain that way. But as it got called touchdown on the field, I would have also expected it to remain that way, because I don't think either way you could have overturned it. But the fact that it was overturning things, I think something happened in the Dolphins game as well last night. That was another similar situation where there was clearly no obvious reason to overturn it, but they did it anyway again. I think so. What's the point of having these on-field calls? I feel like you've just got to back. This is we have VAR obviously in our football, which is supposed to turn over these clear and obvious mistakes, and we have the same argument with that. So it's no different. Officiating across every sport seems to be naff. But I just don't understand why they would overturn that based on what I could see was very little. And I feel like all sports, the benefit should be given to the skill. Like, he's put a lot of, that's a really skillful play, and it's just, it's a fantastic catch. And I just feel like we should be benefiting and rewarding that. And obviously, if he was clearly out of bounds, then we don't. But the benefit should go to the skill player and to that moment when it's close, and reward really good play.
For a marginal call like that, surely the entertainment should be the focus over nothing. Over the heartbreak for us. Then again, if that's the other way around,
it would have been heartbreak had it gone the wrong way.
It would have been. But great cool, catch. Whatever happened, great catch.
It was a good catch. I mean, finally, we've got an advantage of just signing receivers that are over 6'5", right? So, cool. I think that answers my question for that, because I feel like that was a big talking point today. I'm gonna jump straight into it here with you, Aaron, because it tends to be a great conversational debate. Our QB1. So I won't speak for the chaps, but what I will say is I said this last week, and I was quite high on giving him a shot last year after the Mariota debacle, but I don't know. Like, I'm going to reword that because I would have annoyed people if I'd said that. We're seeing progress, right? What does this kid have to do shy of scoring 5 touchdowns a game for people to just give him a break?
Well, I don't know if there's anything he can do. I just think this is how football fans are. It's just like it doesn't matter. It's just, I think it's just the nature of playing quarterback is you're going to have people that are very loudly anti you. You're going to have very loud people, very pro you. And you just got to win games and produce. And eventually the people that hate you will get quieter and quieter and quieter, or they'll just get louder and louder and just seem a little bit crazier and crazier. I'm sure there's some Chiefs fan out here like Patrick Mahomes is very good. And he's been dying on that hill for like 6 years now, and everybody's just like, get out of here, guy. But I think with Ritter, the like you see the good and the bad with him, right? Like you see the fourth quarter Ritter is great, and then the first 3 quarters of Ritter is like, ugh, this is rough. And so, and especially in these online spaces that we all inhabit, the tendency is to kind of cherry pick. You come to your conclusion and you just cherry pick the evidence that fits your already conclusion. So if you thought Ritter was bad, you'll just be like, just look at the first 3 quarters, look at all the poor passes, the questionable decisions, couple of dropped interceptions. And if you think Ritter's good, you just say, well, when the chips are down, he's a gamer. Look at him in the fourth quarter. That's the real Desmond Ritter. And it's just like that debate. And I think we'll just have to see how it which side of it skews to over the course of the next 15 games. Hopefully it skews more towards fourth quarter Desmond Ritter, and fourth quarter Desmond Ritter can actually start showing up in the first quarter. And the Falcons won't have to have these crazy improbable comebacks each and every week. But I just think it's going to be one of those things where you just kind of know going into it that like you're never going to win the argument, and that's one of the reasons why like I've spent less time on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it now, just because it's just like I just know it's just going to be every week people yelling at each other. So if Ritter comes out and plays poorly against the Lions, everybody's gonna be like, see, I told you he's trash, blah blah blah. And it's like if he it's just the same. It's like it's just you already made up your mind, and that's the argument that you're having, and there's no real good discourse, I guess you could say, about like, okay, here's the things that he does well, here are the things that he needs to do better, and let's talk about those things. But it's just more, let's yell at each other to basically prove one side of the argument is right or wrong.
I think go on, Liam, sorry.
I was gonna say you could put together a film to make any quarterback in the league look bad if you wanted to. Like, so it wouldn't be that hard. Like, you can find stat lines of every quarterback in games that's probably bad. Like, there's ways to do it, and people will just do it. And sometimes it's hard to reverse something if you've already got the idea and you've been shouting that he's bad for 3 months. Even if he starts being really good on paper and on film, people still don't really want to change their opinion because to be saying he's bad for 3 months. I mean, prime examples, obviously, recently, Tua Tagovailoa, obviously at Miami, where he was on his way out. Like, fans said, he's not the guy, all this sort of stuff. He's newly traded, and now he looks, like he's ripping it up a little bit, and a lot more behind him, and there's a lot less negativity over there. And I'm sure people are saying how great he is now, that were saying how trash he is last year or year before and things. So, maybe that'll go that way with Ritter, or maybe he won't turn out to be the guy, and everybody say I told you so or whatever. But that's just the way it is. These quarterbacks are under scrutiny every single week. It's a position that everybody's watching, that everybody expects things from. So it's the hardest position to play for a reason. And I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that don't make it, but there's a lot that do. Nobody would have said Brock Purdy would be like he is right now. So he's playing out his skin for one of his last 7th round pick, whatever he was. So hopefully Ritter goes that way.
Yeah.
Danny?
I was just going to say he's clearly stumbled into the wrong franchise as well, because I don't know if any of you saw his post-game presser when you see the Atlanta Falcons out there, we'll never be down for the count. We're going to fight until that clock hits 0. That has never been our mentality. Never will be. That's just not how we work under any circumstances. So he's here by mistake anyway.
So Aaron, just how from your, because I know we can have a sensible conversation, right? So how are you seeing, and right, it's still a small sample size right now, right? He's 5 games in to his Atlanta Falcons career. How are you? What's your evaluation of how he's doing right now?
Well, I liked what I saw the last 4 games, right? It wasn't perfect by any means, but like you saw, to me, you kind of saw him check a lot of the boxes that you wanted to see check for a young quarterback. You saw that, the pitfalls of young quarterbacks tend to be poor decisions and poor pocket awareness. And he made good decisions, and he showed really good awareness, especially handling pressure and whatnot. And it was just like, okay, it's a couple of things he needs to clean up. Accuracy needs to be a little bit better, needs to be maybe a little bit more dialed in the red zone. And, maybe hitting a couple more deep balls. And it's like, okay, if he can check those boxes, like he should be good. Again, not saying he's going to be a superstar or anything like that, but like he can be a quarterback that you can be confident each and every Sunday you can go out there and win football games with. And I don't want to say he's regressed in that way in the first 2 games this year, but the decision-making hasn't been as good as it was a year ago. And you've seen that with some of the questionable throws that he's made that could have been intercepted. He did get an interception in his Packers game, but I don't blame him for that interception because he was hit as he was thrown. But there were a couple of other throws in that game and a couple of throws in the Carolina game where, those probably should have resulted in interceptions. I think PFF, I haven't gone through the Packers film yet, but PFF has him with the highest number of turnover worthy passes so far this year. Now I expect that number to slowly go down, but like that is a little bit of a concern with that. And so the decision-making hasn't been as good. I think the one thing that you will say is the vertical passing has been much improved this year. He's been pretty consistently hitting all of those throws whenever he's been asked to throw, 15, 20 plus yards down the field. He's hit pretty much all of those throws so far this year. So that is a step in the right direction. But I think some of the other things, mainly the decision-making, has taken a step back. And so you're like, okay, if we can get that decision-making down, he can continue to hit the deep throws. Again, I still think we're back on that track of this is a guy that can win you football games, even if he's not necessarily, the reason why you're winning games, right? We kind of know like the Falcons plan is, they kind of want a Kirk Cousins, a Ryan Tannehill type of player. And that's all well and good. Those guys win games. Tannehill, it wasn't the featured weapon in that Titans offense when Arthur Smith was there. It was Derrick Henry, but Tannehill was a big reason why that team was as good as they were in those years, because he was able to make the throws when he was asked to make them. And, Kirk Cousins is a very polarizing quarterback, but I think his overall body of work tells you that like you can consistently be in a position to win games as long as you're not paying, Monday Night Football games. Other than that, like Kirk Cousins is pretty good for you. But, I think Ritter can turn into that. I think he's capable of being more than that if he can continue to progress in a lot of ways. I think for me, the player I compared him to in terms of what his ceiling was a Dak Prescott type of player. And other people have made that comparison. And I think there's a path for him to get there. It's just part of that is just like, you got to make better decisions, my guy. That's really the issue right now this season. So hopefully he'll get back to being the decision maker he was at the end of last year. And then you couple that with his ability to hit the deep balls. And then if we can just kind of dial in the red zone stuff a little bit better, because you kind of saw on that opening red zone drive where, the Falcons had like 3 or 4 plays from the 1 yard line. And normally Arthur Smith would be like, let's just pound it in. And he was like, let's throw the ball this time. And it was like, all right, I get it, Arthur Smith. I get it. You want to show confidence in your quarterback, but like, just run the rock. You like, don't get cute in the red zone. When you like, we're at the 8. Okay, throw it. We're at the 1. Just do what you do, and like we don't let us second guess you on those types of things. So
we're a run first team. Don't start passing it when there's nowhere to pass it to. There's no need.
Yeah. So
cool.
Just before we move on, we've got another very special guest whose appearances come as often as Michael Thomas's touchdowns. It's Cal, who's not joined us for quite some time now. So good to have you back, Cal.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Please don't jinx that Michael Thomas record, please.
I know, I'm sorry. It was my tweet last season when I said he never scores touchdowns and he scored 2 against us. So thanks for that.
Yeah. We've got a bit of a knack of letting people on our Twitter jinx games. Like Cal tried to.
Yeah, but it worked. Worked perfectly.
You might not have caught it, Aaron, but I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me exactly, but Cal tweeted, "Touchdown Green Bay. No chance we're getting 2 touchdowns. Game over."
To be fair, we still didn't get the 2 touchdowns, so I was
technically we didn't. However,
I like your style.
Technically we did, but that's a different. We just got that bit. So
different topic.
just while we've still got Aaron on, we've got five or 6 minutes left. I just want to quickly swing to defense, which I think we are certainly all agreed on last week's podcast, and certainly as we've been chatting about last night's game, defense feel much more cohesive than they did last season. It feels like we've got a real threat across that defensive line now. And obviously after the Carolina game, we know our secondary can cope with a bit more than it was certainly coping with last season. So just interested to hear what your thoughts are, Aaron, on how the defense is holding up so far.
Yeah, I like what the defense has done. Obviously what they've done in the fourth quarter, especially against Green Bay, kind of speaks for itself. Basically no first downs given up, 2 3-and-outs, and I guess technically a 4-and-out in the fourth quarter. And that was a big reason why the Falcons were able to sort of come back, sort of the offense and the defense working hand in hand. I feel like the secondary has been greatly improved. Obviously, you saw Jesse Bates have a real big impact in that week 1 game. Trey Flowers was a little rough in week 2, but we're hoping Jeff Okudah is going to come back pretty soon and sort of solve those issues. It's funny to me because I look at the defense and it's so much improved. And I'm like, do I change my standards for what I expect out of this defense, which is a weird place to be, because I feel like the pass rush is improved from where it has been, but it's still not a good pass rush. It's like a 5 out of 10 pass rush until we get into the fourth quarter, and then it becomes like a 9 out of 10. But it's but before it was like a 2 out of 10. And so I'm like, do I just be content with the 5 out of 10 and then just wait to the fourth quarter and then they get after it? Yeah. Or do I get upset? It's like, well, maybe they could be closer to the 9 out of 10 in the first 3 quarters. So that's the biggest dilemma that I'm dealing with. And so when I take a step back, I go this is a good problem to have. Nitpicking a Falcons defense as opposed to being well, they stink and we just know they stink. It's been a long time since we've been able to, I can sit here and nitpick and be like, I feel like David Onyemata could be having slightly better performances or stuff like that, So I think the defense is in a great place, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what this unit looks like when Jeff Okudah gets there, because I do feel like they will be much stronger, much more aggressive because of the play on the back end. And that may enhance that pass rush where you'll see Ryan Nielsen being a lot more confident that he can dial up some of those blitzes, and we'll get Caden Ellis. We saw, on that opening drive, him as a pass rusher, and it's that's why we paid him. And it's let's see more of that, And so I feel like this defense is come a long way, and I still feel like there's room for growth. And I say that not as they need to be better. It's just it gets me excited to see what they can do.
I think you said that about the fourth quarter, and I've seen an interesting sort of stat from the fourth quarter last night. Falcons stopped Green Bay offense for 3 straight drives. allowing only 11 yards and 0 first downs. And I mean, guys, as Atlanta Falcons fans,
that does not happen.
That seems like the stuff of mythology. Cool. So I know we've only got you for a couple more minutes, Aaron. Just keen to, obviously, just before we wrap up and let you go, for any of our listeners, and I'm sure there's not many who don't know, but Aaron is of podcasting legend for the Atlanta Falcons. Aaron, I don't know whether you want to just take a quick moment just to give yourself a shameless plug there.
Sure. I'm so humble, so I appreciate you guys saying those things about me. Check out Locked On Falcons 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, breaking down the Atlanta Falcons each and every day on your preferred podcast platforms, YouTube and whatnot. And occasionally I write some stuff for the Falcoholic as well, so you can check out some of my written content. So there you go.
So wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Before we kick you, what can you give us a quick minute on what you think is going to happen in Detroit?
Yeah. I'm very curious to see if the defense can level up, because I think the Lions are a different level of offense.
Yeah.
They're kind of, you can make an argument that they're kind of the better version of the Falcons offense in terms of like the run game, the O-line, the play action passing. Unlike our weapons, no one complains about the Lions' ability to get the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. It seems like every week someone's complaining about Arthur Smith didn't get the ball to either Drake London or Kyle Pitts. That doesn't seem to be a problem with the Lions. So that's why I say like they're the better version of our offense. Just no one's complaining about Amon-Ra St. Brown's usage. So that's going to be a challenge for them. I know David Montgomery's potentially out with an injury, so Jahmyr Gibbs will probably get featured a lot. And we've seen from the flashes of him through 2 games, he's not quite on Bijan's level, but he's a pretty good player. So that's going to be the real challenge. And then hopefully with the Falcons going on the road, hopefully, you don't usually expect teams to start fast on the road. It's usually you start fast at home, but maybe the Falcons are just weird and opposite, and they just get into the road environment and get off to a fast start. And I think that will definitely benefit them and increase their chances of beating the Lions. But it's going to be a little bit tougher if they get off to a slow start offensively again for the 3rd week in a row, and going up against a Lions offense that isn't by any means elite, but certainly is very consistently good. Yeah. It may put that 4th quarter Falcons defense to a different level of challenge. So I think this is going to be a real good litmus test to see just quite how far the Falcons defense has come, and certainly a good test for this Falcons offense to, change it up and be good in the first 3 quarters, not just wait to the 4th quarter.
Dare I prompt you for a score prediction before we wrap it up for you?
I mean, last week I predicted the Packers to win 27-20, and the Falcons pulled it off. Yeah. So let's keep it going. Let's keep picking against the Falcons and see if that mojo.
That's not the way I thought you said.
So let's go.
You must have spoken to Cal before, have you?
Let's go Lions 28, Falcons 24. Let's go.
Okay. I'll take a close game.
And of course, we've got to get used to being on the road, because of course the week after Detroit, they are back in London.
So I know you guys are looking forward to that one. So
we are indeed. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Sorry, I was just going to say, is there any chance you're coming over? There's a few comments asking if you're heading over for it.
Unfortunately, I will not be making it across the pond, as they say, for that game. But maybe next time. I probably said that last time, but
I guess, a lot now anyway. It's fine.
Eventually, I'll just keep saying next time, and then eventually I will make it.
It will happen. We'll hold you to it for next time.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming
Aaron,
on.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Great to get your insight, and we will leave you to the rest of your day, seeing as it's only midday over there. Thank you very much, and we will be sure to keep in touch.
Appreciate it, guys. I always enjoy having you guys having me on.
Appreciate it, man.
Catch you later. Bye.
Yeah, but...
What a man. Right, gents. Seeing as we just got Aaron's preview of the Lions game, should we break that down a little bit more before we move on to anything else?
Yeah.
What are our overall thoughts to start with? Confident, not confident, bit of both?
I think straight away it's a tough game. Obviously, they lost on the weekend, close game against the Seahawks. I thought they would have won that personally, but it's our first away game. I think like what Aaron said is starting in the last few years we've started slowing most games we've played, but it'd be good to actually see the sort of change our offense slightly and sort of, especially if we start with the ball and just see what we can do straight away. But
yeah,
it's gonna. I think it's gonna be another close game. I think it will be a close game. I think it will come down to them small margins, them small plays, them little throws that hopefully Riddick can pull off in that. But also the defense, their defense is like good. I think I rate them pretty highly.
yeah.
But did someone say there was an injury with someone?
Yeah, they have got a couple of injuries, which I think is going to help us out a lot. I'm sure. So I'm sure one of their defensive ends has got an injury.
Decker, Dorsey, Mosley, Paschal, Ragno, and then someone else today.
I can't remember.
Montgomery's got injured today. He's the one who changes everything.
Yeah.
But I think we've seen this Lions team under Dan Campbell and Jared Goff sort of escalate over the past 2 seasons. They're a good team, and they've got a lot of good players across that team. And do you know what it is? They're still shipping points. I think there was an element of probably surprise, and I'm sure there's no Lions fans that would necessarily disagree with me that, certainly after their win against the Chiefs, I think a lot of people expected their defense to be better against the Seahawks. Now, whether that's testament to a bad show on defense or a good show on offense for Seattle, it kind of remains to be seen. I mean, I think that if their defense plays anything like they did next week, then I think it's likely to be a shootout. I think where this game is won or lost is how our defense copes with that offense. Genuinely, Goff's, he's having a season already.
Threw for 323 yards for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. And out of those passes, it was 28 for 35. So,
isn't that his first interception in
ages?
God knows long as well. So, as you can tell, his back end of last season as well, he came into form, surprised quite a lot of people, and he's already brought it into this year. So, but I feel like with their offense, it's where there's a few 4th downs and they do go for it, a bit like obviously was yesterday. So they're not scared to any of 4 and 1s. They're going to go for it. So
Dan Campbell's crazy. He'll go on 4th and 13 or something, no question asked. So he will do things that we don't expect. That's why a lot of their games end up the way that they are, because they almost represent him in the way that they're just they're absolute gunslingers on both sides of the ball. They're aggressive on defense and aggressive on offense, just constantly. So you're going to get these games.
They spray that ball about. I was just looking at the receiving yards across the board. It's ridiculous. So they had Brown with 102 yards, Reynolds with 66, Laporta with 63, Raymond with 46, and Gibbs with 39, and then still 3 other players that got receiving yards as well. So whereas ours looks very narrow and we have our very set targets, they just
bringing us on to that kind of topic with obviously Pitts, and also London got a touchdown, but I don't know what yardage he got, 50, 60 maybe. Obviously Pitts was only 5 targets, I think, and he caught 2. I don't know, what do you think it'll start to change in the upcoming weeks? Obviously the offense is going to be keep
Well, I
changing
mean,
throughout the season. But
game one, he only threw for, what was it, like 130 yards, I think. And then game two, he threw for double that. So
225.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I think I think we're approaching teams the way that Coach Smith thinks we can break them down, right? And I think one thing that you can say about we've just mentioned about how kind of the Lions are very much a representation of Dan Campbell, and we're very much a representation of what Arthur Smith wants to do. Do you know what I mean? We are a run-first team, and I think we sat here last week and we said the same about Drake London. How's he not getting Drake London involved, etc. And then Drake London was one of his main guys this week, and going back to last week, I was the one that said about Matt Collins being the number 2. Oh, is that really a strong room? And he should have had a touchdown this week, and he caught a few little passes of his own this week. So
3 receptions for 60 yards. He put a shift in.
Yeah. And I think with that tight end position, if you're not trusting your O-line, as much as after week 1, the O-line was shaky, right? So you're probably going to have your tight ends blocking on certain snaps. I mean, I haven't seen a load of film, but I know Pitts was out in the field. I think we just kind of got to let the system develop with Ridder, and again, just for like Aaron said, right? He's got things to clean up.
Yeah,
I think we're all aware of that, right? But I don't see anything to be hugely worried about at the minute. I think what we need to be worried about is that Detroit offense right now.
Yeah. It was Pitts was interesting. I think from a time perspective, obviously Johnny Smith got, I don't know how many yards he got at the end, but he got
like 60
yards. So we obviously used a lot of 2 tight end sets that that Smith does, but on more occasions we targeted Smith, not Pitts. I don't know if that was a design or just what Ridder went to, but I know I expected Johnny Smith to get receptions and things like that, because he's a very useful weapon. He's obviously very quick, and he's good with his hands and things. So, but obviously I would have expected that Pitts would be that number 1 target on more occasions than not. It doesn't really seem to be going that way. I don't know what it is. Like it's like it's not like a talent. It's is he not, like I said, I'm not watching him like a hawk or anything, so I don't know if he's running bad routes or not getting separation or what it is, or whether it's Ridder not seeing it. I don't know, but we've got to see obviously more production out of him as a player, because he should be that sort of key for us. Really. Like, we know what Wonder's going to do, we know what Hollins is going to do. Pitts should be the guy who's getting free more often than not, because obviously he's made that tight end position where we can bring him off the line and things like that. So he's going to be the one that I think he's got to take us to the next level with the offense. Like, the other guys are going to do what they're going to do, but he needs to up it. And as soon as he ups it, I think we've become a completely different kettle of fish for all teams then.
I agree. I was going to save this for any other business, but it seems like the perfect opportunity to throw it in. So when we asked people for talking points that they wanted to cover, we were asked whether we think that trading Pitts would be a sensible move based on the fact that we are not utilizing him to his fullest at the moment in time. Would anybody bite for that?
I think, firstly, I don't think it would be a yeah for me anyway, but obviously it depends what a team would offer. Obviously, I think that's the main thing. If a team came in with actually something you think, would take it, you're going to do it. But this part of the season, no, then it gives us, whether he's performing or not, straight away he's on the field and he is getting still, there's 2 people on him all the time. If you then take him out of the situation, they know what he can do. Look what he did.
High level of coverage.
Yeah. Look what he did in the first season. Like, he's not just turned shit overnight. We know everyone knows what he can do. So if you take him out of our offense straight away, whether he's receiving the ball or not, he's making our offense weaker straight away.
I think that the real world question is, what we're going to get for him. He had a goodish half season last year. Got injured, had a brilliant rookie season. We all know that, right? But like what's anybody going to offer him? Like we've just picked up Jeff Okuda, who was, Liam, correct me if I'm wrong, top 4, I think.
What, third overall, I think Okuda went.
Yeah, third overall, yeah. So we just picked up him for next to nothing, right? And that's just because Lions were just like, it's not working in our scheme. Let's just get shot of him, right? Yeah. Well, we put Pitts on the market. That's exactly what we're saying to everybody else. So, like, with all due respect, people will give us something for him, but it won't be for his value. And like I said, I know we kind of quickly touched on this sort of before the show, but what's the point? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to see the dude, get more reception than the next person, but at this minute in time, if we're saying we need to give the system time, we need to give the quarterback time, then let's just chill. Like, we don't need to act. And I really don't think there's any team out there that are going to, after the past 2 years, go, okay, well, we'll give you anything more than a second round pick.
Yeah.
So, and that to me is not good value. So,
to be fair, this question could be shooting too soon anyway, because he's in London in 2 weeks. So there's the touchdown straight on the board, and then we're back to the so.
Yeah.
But but you got to laugh, right? Because we were sitting here a week ago. Oh, Jake London wasn't targeted. Jake London was like, I get that, we talk about the Lions. Oh, look at all these receiving yards and all this, and like that was a close game. Like as good as their offense were, it was still a close game, which is insanity when you think about it, right? So I don't know. I don't think it's a conversation at all. Even if we get to the end of this season and he's just say if he's got 5 touchdowns, again, nobody's going to give you the value for it.
No, value in our head, isn't it? It's a hypothetical. It's not a current value. Go on, Liam. Sorry, you kept trying to.
I was going to say, I think it's I don't think we'd get exactly any value for him as such, but really, as a team, obviously, we've got to decide on his 5th-year option at the end of this season. So he has to play pretty well for us to make that decision, because he's in his fourth year next year. So we have to decide on his 5th year at the end of this season. So if we have to be ready to make a decision.
Yeah.
He's in year 3, isn't it? So next year is his 4th year.
Next year's his 4th year, yeah, but you decide on 5th year ahead of the 5th year, if that makes sense. So you decide at the end of this season whether or not we're taking it. So I
mean, with all due respect, even if he doesn't have a great season this season, you'd still. I mean, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't take that 5th-year option.
I don't know. I mean, would you? Would you do it? I don't.
Well, his financial expectations would drop accordingly. He's not going to expect a killer contract if he knows that his performances haven't tallied up to it, unless he thinks he could pick it up somewhere else. But like we've just covered, based on what at the moment in time, there's nothing to value him at like a exceptional contract, is there?
And I'm not saying he's not, right? Because you can.
No, I love him. This sounds very negative. I love Pitts.
You could blame the scheme, right? But and to be fair, that's fair enough. But it's kind of almost like, it sounds pretty harsh when I say it, but like you're all player until we tell you aren't. So and I think it would be incredibly stupid to consider doing that. I think from what I see and all that sort of stuff, he's big personality in the locker room. I think it's another knee-jerk question because he didn't get thrown to it. I wonder who we might have to trade next week when they don't get receptions. Yes. That's it's the kind of the realm we're getting into now, right? And I really,
bring Jared out. I can hear it.
I really don't want us to be in a position where, he didn't get any catches this week, or he didn't get any catches this week. Yeah. I'd love everyone to have catches, but we're just not there yet. So let's just.
I think that is the nature of social media for sport, though, because I refuse to believe that if these conversations were taking place in a pub or a sports bar or at the game, the outcomes would not be the same at all. People just know that they can be really reactionary, and it actually benefits them more because they get to speak to more people because of it. Nobody's going to reply if you just say, give Pitts time, because that's just
we're a fan, like Aaron sort of alluded to it. We're a fan base drenched in misery.
Yes.
Right? So, it's almost like if we can find some misery in something, let's all roll around in the misery together. And so yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't feel it. I think unless he's absolutely terrible this year, I think we're very likely to take the fifth year option on him. On the basis similar to what Danny said, you're gonna get usually you only tend to get paid a wedge in that 1/5 year if they make the Pro Bowl or are just obviously worth the money, then they can sort of negotiate that at what. But he's probably not trending towards getting that sort of healthy fifth year. He's probably going to get a little bit of a decent fifth year option, and then obviously depending on how that fourth season and the fifth season go, whether he gets paid after that, we don't know. But he's the type of player that I think he's worth at least giving that extra fifth year to evaluate him correctly.
100%. Yeah.
Like I can't see why we wouldn't go that way. Usually you have to be absolutely woeful for it to not to be considered, which he hasn't been.
No.
And we know that he's had that rookie season where at least that's shown he can do it. Whilst it's not exactly backed that up, we've seen it, so we know it's in there. We've just got to obviously find out a way to unlock it, whether that's with him or with Ridder or with the scheme. I don't know, but hopefully we can do it because I think he is a special talent if we can utilize him correctly.
I think that's a pretty conclusive response from us all. Absolutely no chance. Pointless, and wouldn't do it even if it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I think just one thing before we move on around the Green Bay game, and until we put the stats together earlier on, I just want to call some of these stats out. So, it was a close game. We had more time of possession. Right, we've never game managed before. As long as not very well. As long as I've been
we had some woeful time managers.
We had just shy of 100 more passing yards. We had way over 100 more rushing yards. 10 more first downs. One less penalty than them, and we're equal on sack. So although the scoreline, and I think I'm going to die on the hill that I think Holland's touchdown should have been a touchdown. It really shouldn't have been as close as it was.
Yeah,
like that wasn't a, that was a decent performance, and that was game managed to the max. And also, can we just have a moment of praise for the size of Arthur Smith's cojones for going for it on that fourth down?
I've got no comment on that one. That's you deserve ones like that, don't you? If they don't come off, you look like a fool. But
it's just pure trust in a clear. I don't call it an easy place. It's not an easy place, but the play that we went to, like it was just. You look at it and think, well, actually, it just makes perfect sense because how's anybody going to stop that? Like, how do you even stop that? Like, I just don't see how they possibly could have done it. So, but you've got to have the balls to go for it. And he trusted in his players, trusted that we were going to get the block in, and that was it. And we did it with ease.
And some of them blocks were unreal to create.
Yeah, they were good. It was really well executed.
So, Danny,
we
were 3 out of 3 for our over/under prediction last
We
week.
we were indeed.
I am.
It was a low line. You both smirked at me, but I was basing it off Ridder's stats from the back end of last season into this one. So it was over or under 115 passing yards for Desmond Ridder against the Packers. He hit 237, if I am correct. I know. Oh, there we go. Close enough. So that's a point for everyone. Of course, we have a new addition, so Cal's got a buy on last week.
Yeah.
This week's will be Bijan Robinson over or under 125 rushing yards.
Ooh.
Just rushing yards. Yeah.
Just rushing yards. He got 124 against the Packers, which is why my line is 125.
Is Patterson back at all, or is he still out for next week?
Don't know yet.
No comment.
No
No
information.
idea.
I want to go under.
Okay.
I think it'll be close. I think he'll hit the 100.
Yeah, I was going to say it is only under over, but do you think it's close?
Yeah, I think he'll hit the 100, but he'll get like 105.
Okay. Go on, Mark. You take a punt.
Over, because I don't. Kenneth Walker caused that Detroit defense problems yesterday.
Yeah.
So I fancy Bijan to. He went in twice, didn't he? Then
He only averaged 2 yards a carry yesterday. They really stuffed his ass.
yeah, but Bijan's better. I'm going over.
Bijan is better. That is true. That is true.
Okay. Mark's gone for the over. Liam?
I think he'll do well, but I'm gonna go under.
Under.
I do think they have a pretty good run defense.
Yeah.
But he certainly could threaten that, and I wouldn't actually be shocked if he went over. But I'm gonna say under because I think they've got some good tackling linebackers. It will be one of them. It depends how the game goes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of rushing yards will depend on how the game goes. If they go ahead, they've got to start slinging it around. I don't think he'll make it, but if we get ahead, I think he could make it on pure attempts alone.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna predict that the game will go a certain way, and they'll do a decent job on him.
I'll take that. Well, I've gone over as well, so I like that I've found a line that's made us split right down the middle. If anyone's watching live and you want to drop your predictions in, I'll pop you in the scoreboard if you want. Paul's gone over.
Paul's in the over.
For anyone that's just joined, Bijan Robinson over or under 125 rushing yards against the Lions. Only rushing yards, not receiving. So Mark and me have gone over. Cal and Liam have gone under. That has been noted down for the scoreboard for next week. So we'll pick that up then.
There was some sensational.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Always disappeared.
I got way too excited. I just get really just thinking about some of them runs and some of them jukes that we saw. It was just
maybe we should do
got a little bit.
Should we not do an over or under how many ankles he breaks a week?
Completely different ongoing series. Ankles gone.
There was one where he did a little bunny hop. I don't know if you remember. If you've seen a little like. Mm-hmm. Who can think that fast?
The reaction is graceful.
It hurt my ankles watching him play.
Yeah.
I said the body could not do that. The brain is willing, but the body could never.
Yeah, I said it in the chat yesterday. He a lot like players can obviously there are some good jukers out there and stuff, and they can juke and sort of like there's still contact and they'll get more yards and things like that. But he was juking into clean air where like a guy who was charging didn't even touch him on a standing juke. Somebody of his size shouldn't physically be able to do it. I think it's right.
And the more film I watch, it's these tiniest little movements that he uses just to send somebody either just to push their weight onto another foot or just to go in the wrong direction. Like and like Liam said, it's those kind of almost like either if they're like little shoulder jinks or if like my legs. I mean, I'm a big lad anyway, but so I'm not much of a litmus test, right? But like my legs just couldn't do that. Like I would have to. It would take me longer to think about doing it. And he's gone, and it was so like it reminded me a little bit of kind of like first year Saquon, like how he was just used to. I mean, and he wasn't as quick as Bijan, certainly on these little jukes and stuff like that. But the power behind it is for such a, I mean, he's not little, but he's.
Hold on. I was thinking that, and I saw like sort of the patience of like what Le'Veon Bell used to have with that delayed sort of run where he could just he saw the blocks and he hit the gap, like he could hit it through the middle or on the outside, and that little bit of patience. It's only a half a second to like it's half a second. He's read the gap, and it's almost like he can read. It's almost like he's playing chess where he can read not just the gap that he's going to hit, but the next two gaps after that he's going to hit. Like he's seen where the linebacker is, where the safety is, within a second.
Yeah,
and then it's just insane quick thinking. And the weird thing is, and this sounds strange saying it, but I don't even think he's been that good yet. Like, I feel like
I understand. Yeah.
I feel like he's not even touched the surface of what he actually can do, because we've not seen the big breaking run or anything yet. Like, I don't know what his longest individual run is. He's getting a lot of us like 10, 12, 15s, but he's obviously not actually broke big yet. So imagine if he can do one or two of them a game on top of what he's already doing. Like, he's getting big numbers and brilliant performances, and I still don't even think he's actually got going, which is what's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. Terrifying prospect. And again, Mark, you get to take your hat off and say, I called that months and months before we actually.
Listen, I'm not going with that crack anymore. I've been proved right. So
I've got my mic. I am done.
I mean, I don't know what you think about, but I would say I watched a lot of him at Texas. Obviously, we knew how amazing he was. Like, that was pretty obvious. But I didn't think he would be this good in the NFL this quickly.
I suppose that he was used as a receiver for Texas, but his his notoriety was those little kind of bursts through finding the hole in the line where no other running back could, and I suppose I kind of banged the drum because he was kind of the most exciting offensive prospect, certainly out of college last year. And I agree. I mean, I didn't necessarily, I didn't think he'd hit the ground and run like this, pardon the pun, but he's literally, and again, small sample size, get it right, but he's making grown men who are on millions of dollars a year look like idiots.
Yes,
and that's the. I mean, I go back to that touchdown he scored in against Carolina, and we discussed it, and like I say, it sent one flying defender for a cup of tea, and then burst through two more like it was nothing. Like it was running through a paper bag. So I just like, and now I get to a point where I love him so much. I am now terrified every time he's got the ball because I don't want him to get injured.
Yeah.
So there's that. I like to find reasons to give myself the pulmonary embolism that I've been dreaming of for so long. So I'm with Liam. Like more to come, but there certainly is a surprise there.
I've had a couple of people message me that are not Falcons fans, NFL fans that watch other teams, or just maybe even more just general. So NFL fans as well, that basically told me that they're watching the Falcons now. Like, they're choosing to watch the Falcons. Sometimes over their own team, it sounds like, purely to watch Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
That's what they just want to watch.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to watch people duke and make people miss. It's great to watch, isn't it? So they're absolutely loving it.
I think he's one of the types of players that if you're not an NFL fan at all and you were trying to get into the sport, you try and look for like highlight reels, don't you?
Yeah.
Things like that are what get you going.
Yeah.
I was
just
like Julio going on mad runs and stuff like that, and Julio.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to watch that. He's what people want the NFL running game to be, isn't it? Like people don't. I know we obviously watch him think somebody's just trucking in, getting 5 yards. We understand how difficult that actually is and how effective getting 5 yards is, and getting to 2nd and 5. Non-NFL people will be like, that's boring as hell. They will watch people break ankles, don't they? Which is what you get with him. So it's great.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Good time to be a Falcon.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking too soon.
So far.
We're also positive. I can't remember the last time we've had shows like this. It's stunning.
One thing I do want to mention is the crowd. The crowd. I didn't see that one actually. Yeah, the crowd at the first 2 home games seem loud compared to like we've been fans 5 years. Well, I think it's our 5th season.
That's because there's fans in the stadium at the minute.
Which makes it great. But even at the start of like last year and the year before and the year before, we had home games at the start, and it still wasn't.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Yeah, 100%.
And it looks like the atmosphere is. Obviously, it helps when you're winning, but even last week, like obviously first game of the year, I've seen it half empty and even like quiet. Yeah. But even then, you can see Ridder. Even Ridder's like obviously listen to everybody. Yeah, he's getting louder in it, which is obviously great to see compared to the last few years.
Yeah.
Oh, massively so. I think every every franchise goes through this transition, right? They're good for a while, and then they are not so good for a while, and people don't go, right? Because why are you gonna? I remember the first few years I watched this sport. Cleveland Brown Stadium was a graveyard. Nobody was going to watch that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's part and parcel. I think probably everywhere. I don't think it's just us. I think we just deal with a lot more negative fans on a regular basis than most people do, right? But I think the Ben's being loud. It adds an extra level to it. And listen, we're heading into Detroit next week. That's a stadium with an atmosphere now as well. And listen, Lions fans will contest to it. They've had their fair share of crap years, right? And I think Aaron kind of hit the nail on the head, and I think I said the same thing about last week as well. Is it's going to be an acid test, right? But I'm not. I don't know. It feels weird. I'm not scared at the minute because I know they're at least going to go out and graft.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. We don't look like we're going to roll over, and that was the thing that's hurt us the most. Like, you're getting paid all that money, you're meant to be playing for a badge, and some years it's just looked like we're too far behind to be chasing now. I'm not getting injured for the sake of getting injured and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like by the time of this like 3rd game of like the last 5 seasons, you're already thinking like, already not and 2, or even like 1-1. But even then, you're thinking. I'm not that. I'm excited to watch still, but not as much. But now there's like I think there's a feeling around the whole fan base, which is obviously good to see.
Yeah. Well, listen, our next couple of games are tough. Detroit, Jacksonville, and Washington. I think.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, I think Washington want to get back.
Yeah.
All teams with a feel good factor around them. So. And I don't know if anyone remembers. It's funny that he's
not Washington.
Say again, sorry.
It's Texans after the Jags, not Washington.
I think it's Washington after, isn't it? Yeah. But I think it's funny, he's got the tash, and I'm starting to grow mine out as well, right? Ready for London. But he did the whole Ted Lasso thing when he first arrived, didn't he, Arthur Smith? And he had the sign. Believe. And I believe. Coach.
I believe. Believe.
So,
I'm all for it.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think we got I think something like 70. I don't want to say it because no one's good, but if something like 75% of teams that go 3-0 make the playoffs or something like that. I think it is. So if we can get that,
yeah. It'd be a nice foundation, whether that stat's going to ring true or not. It'd be a nice feeling to think we'll come into London 3-0 would be sensational.
So last week when I said I don't want to jinx it, but and then I said he still hasn't thrown an interception, and guess what happened?
He did.
He threw an interception this week. So I'm not sure I like where that kind of bad luck might be going. So let's not speak that into the universe too loudly, chaps. Huh?
That's the first thing I thought about when he threw him on. I went, it was like, he has now.
One thing I did just want to add. I know we're going to do any other business, and it's about my main man,
Ritter.
So I was so close to replying this on one of the many arguments that I've seen on Twitter today. I refuse to call it X just because I don't like Elon Musk. But
we're streaming live. You'll get us banned.
He can take it up with my account. It's fine. At Cathas13. So I was listening back to last week's show when I was in the gym, and one thing that Liam mentioned was how much zip Ritter puts on the ball, and it made me realize when I was watching a bit of film before we came on that the zip that he's putting on the ball. So everyone, like people are going on about, oh well, he threw this and it should have been intercepted. He threw this and it should have been intercepted. And on all of those kind of instances that I looked at, it doesn't get intercepted because the ball's getting pinged. So what I'm saying is that Liam mentioned it last week, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together and made 6. But it kind of feels like he's almost like, well, at least if I absolutely zip this ball, my wide receiver may not catch it, but they're probably not going to catch it either.
Yeah, they've got to work for it as well. I'm not giving you one for free, so
I don't know.
Method in the madness.
I think I don't think he's going to have a shoulder by the time he's 26, but he's. There was one of them which actually was one of the plays that we did catch it. Because obviously when it comes off, it looks amazing, doesn't it? When it's obviously zipped at it. There was one that just did look absolutely amazing, against the Packers, where he threw just in a tiny little window. And I said, I barely saw the ball move through the air. It was, what I thought velocity was thrown at it. Ridiculous. I just keep chill your beans. He must have some anger in him, that lad. He's probably on Twitter and I watch our fan base. But that's probably what it is. It's like imagine him protecting people's faces while launching that ball. But I mean, obviously, there's pros and cons of doing it. Right? There's nothing wrong with throwing the ball really hard, obviously. But I just feel like sometimes I'm like, my word, man, calm yourself.
Have a breather.
Yeah.
Right, Danny, what we got for any other business this week?
So I've only got one key one that we dropped in the chat earlier on because it's just all around the NFL. The Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes have reconstructed his agreement, giving him $210.6 million between 2023 and 2026, the most money in NFL history over a 4-season span.
Yeah.
Wow.
So correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure, didn't he sign a 10-year deal?
10-year deal for $500 million.
It was like $500 million over 10 years or something like that, right?
So
actually, and we're very quick to see these stats, right? So actually, what we're doing is, all they're doing is they're front loading the majority of the money, right? So they're probably looking at this season, going, right, okay, this is probably our kind of one main window to get another ring. Actually, for the next couple of years, let's just get all the contract out of the way, because ultimately, towards the end of the contract, and look, boys, right? We were here with the Matt Ryan situation. We were here with the most amount of dead cap in the entire universe last year, right? And it's because we made really bad contractual decisions, which kicked all the money down the road, right? So all the Chiefs have done is just gone, do you know what it is? We lost Tyreek. Wide receiver room isn't great. We know Pat Mahomes can really do some special stuff.
Yeah.
We've got our key kind of players nailed down. Kelsey's getting older, right? The guy's never been injured, and he's already been injured once a season, right? Yeah. So I think it's kind of smart in a way, because then what you're kind of doing is going, well, actually, for the last however many, 3, 4, 5 years of that contract, it's just a little bit less of a hit. And I think, if anything, it's kind of like they've probably looked at the situation we were in over the past 2 years and gone, actually, we don't want to end up like that. Because God forbid, and I love Patrick Mahomes, and but God forbid anything happens, or he gets a bad injury or anything like that, and then all of a sudden doesn't come back the same player. You're locked in for 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's it's a long old time to be paying somebody, right? So to me, it just kind of feels like a smart move. I think where the kind of shock value comes in is everyone goes, oh, well, he's paid the most amount in a 3-year kind of window.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they've obviously they brought a lot of it forward. I think the big thing they've obviously done, which is what players all push for nowadays, is all the money they brought forward is guaranteed over the next 4 years. So obviously, if he does get absolutely smashed just into the next game and can't play, for foot again, he's obviously guaranteed all of that for that 201 million. He will get paid it now, because what I think he dropped down to, I think if I read correctly, over that same 3-4 year period in terms of guaranteed value over that years, he was the 8th highest earning quarterback. Before this contract, he was the 8th highest earning quarterback over the next 4 seasons in guaranteed money. Mahomes isn't the 8th best quarterback in the league, is he? No. So he's obviously, him and his agent have gone, pay. We want what they've got. He's better than this guy, this guy. That's what they've done. And they've gone, he's got 4 years worth of guaranteed money at 200 million. We want 270, whatever it is. That's.
And then it's a really easy contract to get out of if you want to, later on down the line, because you paid him most of the money.
Yeah. And for me, obviously they're paying him an absolute fortune. It's big cap hit. It's guaranteed money. That's always the risk for a team. But he's the best quarterback in the league. He's probably the best quarterback maybe ever in terms of talent. So you just pay the guy.
Okay. One thing I will say on this might be controversial, right?
Oh no.
People have it now, right? People have got to stop saying, "Oh, but Patrick Mahomes is just doing he's doing what Tom Brady did. He's making sure that the Chiefs have got loads of cap space so that they can sign other players and help the team." That's not what he's doing. He's seen Joe Burrow get the bag. He's seen Justin Herbert get the bag, and he's gone, hang on a minute. I might have been a little bit misguided when I signed that 10-year contract ages ago. Actually, I want what I'm worth, and fine, he is worth it. I'm not saying he's not worth it, right? But what I'm saying is that this rhetoric about, oh well, Mahomes is the next GOAT because he takes less money and makes sure that they can still build a team around him. Yeah. I'm sorry, if Kadarius Toney's your number one wide receiver, then your franchise ain't got
that much building a team around him.
Yeah, he's just,
you know what I mean?
Just trying to get paid, which that's what he's in his right to do it. Get money.
Also, in everyone's defense, Tom Brady earned about $1 million a year, but he earned it for 45,000 years. So he's balanced out anyway. Nobody else is going to have a career like that anymore. I don't see many players making it anywhere near that age now.
But I think it was just because that was always the line. How they were able to sustain the dynasty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And ever since that Pat Mahomes contract was signed, and all of these, young QBs have been getting the bag.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is but Mahomes is different.
Exactly. No, I mean, if you look at that receiving corps preseason, Like, there's obviously rookie. You've got Kelsey's obviously pretty awesome, but the rest of them, you know, there's massive concerns. Like, the Chiefs were still the preseason favorites to win the Super Bowl. Like, how many other teams would have been preseason favorites to win the Super Bowl with that receiving corps? None.
Oh no.
You just look at Mahomes and go, he's fully capable of doing it with anybody.
Oh yeah. As long as he's there,
Yeah.
Chiefs are.
And they're right. You're right.
Yeah.
He's fully capable of doing it with anybody. So if somebody, you know, if somebody's saying that about you, you're worth that money. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, boys, that was my only any other business for the week, unless anybody else has caught any articles as the day's gone on.
No, nothing major. Obviously, we've got three games still to play this week, haven't we?
We have indeed.
Yes. I'm sure it's two. No, sorry, was that 2 late games last night and 1?
Yeah, so you got Panthers and
Saints Panthers in it.
That's
a juicy one by our standards.
Saints,
right,
okay.
The NFL app always confuses me because it says Monday, but it's not Monday. Is it?
It's not Monday, no.
I wonder why they have 2 games tonight then. They don't usually do it. It's usually 1 in it.
I thought it was usually 1.
Yeah, it's usually 1, but it's Browns Steelers and Saints Panthers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Same time. I think.
Go on, we'll do a quick minute on that then. Saints Panthers. What do we want? Well, obviously what we want, apart from the secret Saints fan in the chat. I'm assuming 3 Panthers wins and 1 Saints win.
Well, listen, you know, Bucks are 2-0, right? And with all due respect, I don't want the Saints to be 2-0.
No.
I'd rather them and the Panthers are 1-1, right? So, you know, for me, I'm hoping Bryce Young shows more than he did last week. But you know, I don't. It's so hard because I don't want any either of the way. A draw. I'd like a draw.
I think that's fair enough. I'd be shocked if either of you two thought any different.
Oh, Liam will be back in the Saints. Don't you worry about that. Just,
I've got my I've got my prediction. No,
if he takes that top off, there's a Saints one underneath.
I think I want the Panthers to win to obviously, you know, put us in a better position, but I think the Saints will probably win.
Yes,
Yeah, no, that's probably fair. Well,
can I end on a bit of a funny story? So, a really, really good friend of mine's an Arizona Cardinals fan. And we were playing on the PlayStation last night, and he had Red Zone in the background. Obviously, I was still kind of taking my heart medication for the end of our game, and the Cardinals were like up by 24 points early doors, and I went. I said at halftime, I was like, I can't believe the Giants are that bad. Like, and kind of no disrespect to Arizona, right? But like, the Giants have been poor so far this season, right?
Yeah.
And as the minutes went on, and the Giants score went up, and I couldn't help it. So you know the meme with the guy who is in the news.
Yes.
Just said, first time ? So I sent him that, and I said, and I just put me watching you throw away a 20 point lead at halftime, and I just and I felt so sorry for him, but I was like, bro, like
we have lived that.
You know,
we have lived that.
That happens when you're down bad, like, you know. So so that's my little anecdote for the evening.
Yeah, they're going to be an interesting Cardinals because they could well be they could well be having that number 1 overall pick, couldn't they?
100%.
And you know, be interesting. There's only one guy who's going to be that overall pick if somebody actually picks there. So, and that's
it's a long college season, and we've seen number 1 picks waver a little bit.
I can't see anybody not going for Caleb Williams. I think it'd be crazy. Which then obviously is very interesting with Kyler Murray being.
They're not traded. I mean, I know I digressed slightly, but they're not going to. They can't trade that contract because nobody will want that contract.
Yeah.
So if they want Caleb Williams, they're either going to have to just take such a massive cap hit, or like, you know, it just seems so. I mean, I like Kyler. I've got nothing against Kyler. You know, I think it's just like Liam said, right? You know,
Just one of them.
there's one guy that's there who's going to go number one.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they'd get a lot of potential suitors for that number one pick, I'm sure, if they wanted to trade it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure they would.
100%.
Cool. Is that
Right.
everything?
Just before we sign off, you may all notice, anyone that is still watching live, or if you're watching this back, Mark is supporting a very stunning flag behind him that he has purchased on our behalf, a couple of them. These will be coming down to London with us. So anybody that sees us pottering about, we'd prefer it if you're a Falcon because you'll want a photo with a flag. But if you're not, you can have a photo with a flag if you really want. Yeah, we will be supporting those flags out in London. And Mark, I know your plan's a little bit different because you're down that end anyway. But myself, Carl, and Liam, and a few of our friends are heading down on a Saturday morning, getting their Saturday dinner, spending Saturday and Sunday night there. So we'll be out and about and
100%.
very, very intoxicated for the majority of the weekend.
So just on that as well. So I just want to kind of add to it. We are looking to have somewhere to meet. Wembley's a lot different. Spurs.
Yeah.
There's not as kind of, you know, as many bustling sort of pubs as in such close proximity. Yeah. We are trying to arrange something. There has been a delay because there's been stuff going on in the background that we still can't really talk about yet. So, so all we can say is watch the space. We are trying to organize something, and yeah, we'll let you all know where we're going to be when
we know. Absolutely. And that is pretty much it. Oh no, it's not. We are now on Spotify again. So Liam has been absolutely working his ass off to make sure that shows can be uploaded, edited down so you don't hear all of our pointless waffle in the middle. There's no gaps. The sound quality is a little bit better and everything like that. So we're aiming for this show or every Monday show to be posted on Spotify and all your podcasts for Wednesday every week. Give or take, there may be the odd exception, but I think that's kind of the pattern that we're running down. So still plenty of listening time before Sunday's games. So hats off to Liam for that one. That's a big graft.
I couldn't do anything about the northern accents, I'm afraid.
we'll do that. We'll go to
just have to deal with them.
I don't know what you mean.
But yeah, other than that, thank you everyone for watching live. The figures have been pretty chunky today. In the top corner. I don't know whether it's Aaron, but it seems like a lot of people stayed for the whole ride. So thank you for everyone that's been here from the start.
100%.
If you didn't catch Aaron, rewind it. Just rewind it now and just listen to it all. Or you can catch us on YouTube in literally 20 minutes time. The full thing will be uploaded from scratch. So thank you all for watching.
Music or wherever you get your podcasts. That's what all the podcasts
like, no, really though, we would really appreciate it if you all subscribe to our YouTube now we're back and going again. It helps us a lot, and obviously the bigger we get, the more content that gets flowing and the bigger guests we get on. Aaron is just step one of this season, so keep your eyes peeled. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you all next week, hopefully with another special guest. But I won't leak any names just yet. So thank you all and catch you all later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks.
Cheers, everyone.